like general one, which may not be directly impacting your firm's performance operation, but still you should not lose how it is actually moving. And also the task environment, on the other hand, is something that you have to deal with all the time because it is impacting your firm every day. So uh, every company should have their own, say, way to deal with this task environment, right? The task environment, the inner circle of this picture, customer, competitor, client, supplier, customers, competitor, suppliers, labor market. So let's look at first customers. You have your customers. Some of them may be your very loyal to customers, and some of the customers may not be really loyal to your firm's product. So very easily moving around, changing their mind to other competitors' customers. So first, the question is how you keep your, say, customers into, let them not leave your, say, service and product. Um, so as we discussed a lot, like in our previous, say, discussion, like customers are pretty much important. Like before, even like a few years ago, the company actually introduced, say, a new technology item product first, and then they think about how to sell it, right? So, customer was not really at the first stage of their development of new technology and product. However, this day, R&D of all organizations these days start with customer analysis, which means that they have to find out what customers really want first, and then they try to develop any service product for themselves. Right. So put customer first is pretty much what a company really think important this day. Like competitor, also equally important involvement, uncertainty to your firms. Like when you define competitors, how can you define the competitors? Because the definition of competitor simply this day radically shifted into a new meaning. But when you say competitor, that means a company that produces something that you produce, right? So their product, your products are simply targeting the same customers, people. So in that case, that company may be your competitors. However, so that was like classic definition of competitors. However, this day, say every companies are competitors, right? We talked about like this day, like Mercedes, Ford, Toyota may be competitor of Hyundai, but suddenly the Google become the competitor of Hyundai. Their customer targets, their way of business are totally different, but Google suddenly turned into the competitor of the Hyundai because of the internet. People try not to drive out to do something. They simply solve the problem by just doing the internet. So Hyundai should deal with this company, right? Google, right? So that's why the defining how in your business text, how you define competitors are quite important, right? Depending on how you define the scope of the competitor, your way of reactions are quite different. You said you may think so. If you see, you never know who will be your competitors, right? So you know your competitors, direct competitors, but suddenly you may face unexpected competitors from totally different industries, but reacting to those new types of competitors are always not really easy and possible, and sometimes very expensive. So that's why if you see like a lot of economic magazine, newspaper, a lot of experts recommend this one to protect your firm against this kind of competitors. What is this? What is it? What is it? You should be very good at this one to protect your firms. Yeah. So the kind of so just simply define what you are selling legally, so prevent other company cannot really use your something know-how, know-why technology anymore. So that may be the possible. But we may discuss like there are a lot of say a drawback of that patronizing your know-how sometimes. The patronizing your knowledge may be like you design the manual or say details of your technology officially. So your competitors may be learning it and may modify it into their own different new ways. So yeah, that may be right, but probably you have to worry about some kind of some negative side of that patronizing your know-how, technology, and so on. Yeah, patronizing your technology know-how is one answer, but also the other like common method is to fight against this kind of a severe competition is a strategic alliance, simply, right? Collaboration, right? Why collaboration really emerged as a kind of a new business practice this day? Collaboration, strategic alliance, joint venture, right? Even with your enemy. Simply because competition issues, right? You never know who will be your competitors. So that's why you collaborate with your say competitors sometimes. If you see the newspaper, the breakout, the blowout of the Galaxy Note 7, what Samsung tried to do is that they just tried to collaborate with LG for next mobile phone. What does this mean? Two firms are competitors, right? But because of that problem of new mobile phone, Samsung declared, well, not officially announced it, but seriously thinking about collaboration with LG. Kind of prevent or protect the firms from other competitors like Apple, or see who take the most advantage by that Note 7 mobile phone problem, the Chinese firm. So because of that Chinese firm's attack, when previously the Chinese mobile phone maker were not really serious a threat to Samsung, but because of this bad event, suddenly the Chinese competitor emerged, a new threat. So to protect the Chinese threat, LG, Samsung collaborate each other. And Samsung asked first to the collaboration with LG for that one. And from the LG side, nothing to lose by collaborating with Samsung in terms of protecting LG from the Chinese competitors. So I mean, you may not really imagine easily how we really collaborate with our enemy to, say, protect ourselves from another enemy or save ourselves from severe competitions. I mean, the logic is quite simple. I mean, simply say, let's say that this is the product that you provide to the market, and to produce this product, you may be go through step like this. from step 1, step 2, and step 3. So that's what I call a process of manufacturing of this product. So you are company A, and your company B, competitor, may be also providing the same product, probably go through the very similar process of steps of making this one, right? So in the past, actually to make this one, you cover these activities alone by yourself in-house, probably this firm as well. So in that case, all of the process are competing each other. So not really no way of collaborating each other because all the process are competing each other. However, if you look at the process of many global firms, is that even if these are your, say, final products, you are not really cover all the process in-house. You may cover, say, this part exclusively, or for your competitor's case, you cover, like, focus more on this process for making this one. So even if you are making the same product, the strengths that from each firms for these products are quite coming from different area. So unless this one and this one not collaborating, at least this part can be collaborated. So that is actually why it is possible for two competitors are actually able to help out each other. Right. The point is the what you call value chain, right? The process of making something is not always overlapping exactly the same each other. So that's why there are chance to collaborate for each other's a weakest link, right? So that's why Samsung and Sony be able to collaborate each other, and Samsung and also LG are able to collaborate each other. Like the mobile phone, this Notebook 7 case, LG is very good at making batteries, and the Samsung Note 7 case, the problem mostly occur presumably by the bad problem in batteries. So that's why, say, the two firms are able to collaborate each other. So too much competitors each other, competition from the market, and you just cannot weather that severe storm alone. So we have to think very good at collaboration with other firms, even if they are your competitors. And finally, also the suppliers. You have to manage very good with your suppliers. I mean, back to the Samsung Note 7 case, the problem was also from the, again, the battery. The battery actually is supplied by Samsung SDI, exclusively, not really exclusively, but most of that Note 7 battery made by Samsung SDI. So that may be the some problem according to the article. So simply say your brother or sister supply something to you for sure for a long period of time. So your brother company, your sister company, maybe say you are a dominant supplier, for instance. In that case, there may be a good part of it, but that may be a bad part of it. Managing supplier means that you should have maintained a very good long-term relationship with suppliers. Because if suppliers provide a kind of a problem product component to you, just like the case of the Samsung SDI's battery to Samsung mobile phone, then the whole companies may be falling into a problem. So the point here is that how you identify a very good supplier and then maintaining a long-term relationship with them. Sounds easier, but really very hard in practice. Uh, you may think that the Japanese firms are having competitive advantage because of their technology, which is right. But the more important power of Japanese firms are a lot of Japanese firms have very good relationship between you and your suppliers. Uh, just imagine like you and your business partner maintain a relationship more than say 40 years. Uh, very not possible in practice, right? So that's why uh, like choose one part, just live with one business partners and maintain that business relationship for longer period of time. That's quite rare case in most of other business field, especially in Western business field. Mostly what company prefer is that they just choose several suppliers and make like 2 or 3 years of contract with them, and then they just keep changing the business partners regularly, like every 2 or 3 years, and you will just go to the different suppliers and so on. That is a typical supplier relationship. So good part is that you may not have any problem from any kind of complacency coming from a long-term relationship. However, by easily changing the supplier partners, you may be also having some, say, problems of, say, monitoring, coordinating with new suppliers regularly all the times. Simply say, rather than just keep changing your, say, partners every 3 years or 4 years, why not just live with one partners and happy for the rest of your life? You may agree, or some of you here may not agree, but in business field, finding good suppliers and long-term relationships, that's better of the business, like Japanese firms. Very good at managing suppliers. So that's where the competitive advantage and strength of Japanese firms. And that is actually what Western companies cannot really imitate. A lot of British car companies like Rover, technology itself of them is quite fine, but the final product of Rover is always inferior to Japanese car. So Rover tried to figure out why the Japanese firms are always better than British car. I mean, this is really story of, in like 60s and 70s. So Rover formed joint venture with the Nissan, I think, to learn the Japanese practice, and also for Japanese firm by forming a joint venture with Rover, they can enter into, say, British market. But for British people, the way for them to supplier management is that you just write the contract each other. So writing a contract means that your job and my jobs are clearly defined in the contract. So what you do is just what you describe, what is described in contract. And my job is just I do what is described in contract. So that's it. That's all about the suppliers relationship of UK. But surprisingly, what British people found was that the Japanese supplier relationship doesn't have any very detailed contract each other, but still they can willingly collaborate. So that part, the British people never learned very well. So it is quite Japanese culture, right? Japanese part of business practice. So rather than going for every detail of it, the point here is that you have to think about, right, how you are able to be maintaining, forming a very good relationship with suppliers. That's where your strength is. Just look at Korean firms, like Korean industry. What is criticized this day, not this day, but in the past as well. A lot of Korean big firms, major like Korean big firms like conglomerates, do a lot of 갑질, right, to their say suppliers. Small company may be their suppliers, right? 갑질 in English, what is it? Like, abusing their what? Bossing or what? Bossing, yeah, bossing around their small suppliers, bullying their small suppliers, right? That is actually destroying not only that small supplier but also the big company itself, right? So just think about why abusing their power over the small firm and bossing around small firms may be causing problems for big companies. So the point is like caring, concerning, finding, even nurturing your, say, small suppliers are very important to stay in the future as well. And labor market as well, especially the labor union. And just look at what happened to Hyundai Motors, right? Their powers are stronger and stronger. So if they stop, then the whole company stop. Right? So you as a manager should learn, right, how to say ease the say not ease but say form, say, so simply say steady goods, say harmonizing relationship with the labor. And also finally the internal market as well. So the point here is that see the lot of say article like business article. I mean, I strongly recommend you guys to read, say, a business newspaper, at least 2. If you go to the our library, what's the name of our library? Gangnam, right? So you just go to the library there, and you can see free, say, free economic newspaper, 서울경제, right? So just go, just first come, first serve kind of thing. So just go there. You see a pack of that newspaper. So you can have that for free. Also, at the front gate of our subway here, the 한경 newspaper you can pick up every morning for free. So I think the please get used to read a lot of, say, economic newspaper, a lot of fun stories, and also you really see what's going on in the industry. What are the current issue in business field? So, like reading those newspapers is all about business studies. Right? You don't really need to take business courses and take the examination, go to MBAs. Don't do it. Right? Just read the newspaper every day, like 2 or 3, rather than drinking coffee at Starbucks. Right? Economic newspaper is just 500won, right? Piece of cake to you, right? So if you read that newspaper, really the most common, say, social issue in business field is create adaptable organization. So that's what Korean firms must do now. So what does this mean? Create adaptable organization. Simply say, the environment are changing so fast, right? So sometimes very hard for you to lead that environment. Like once upon a time, like 60s, 50s, big global firms actually lead the market. But this day, not really possible. So you just cannot lead the market. The consumers are so powerful. Read their mind, not really perfect. So in that case, your job as a firm leader is actually read what's going on in the market and adapt to that. So adaptable organization, creating adaptable company means that find what's going on in the organizational environment here outside and mid-circle there and recreate your firm into that new way, right? Rather than maintaining your typical classic routine or rather than relying on your story in the past. Right? Things are different. The organizational environment are keep changing and with so much uncertainty. So that's why creating adaptable organization means that simply say create new culture of the firm. So that's basically the point. I mean, inventing new technology like hiring smart employees, and that is important, but mostly what adaptable organization, creation of adaptable organization means you change your culture of the organization. Right? So that is actually a point. We know what the corporate culture of Korean firms. You know, right? You never work in the company, right? But you know what it looks like, the Korean company's corporate culture. So what they demand is that change that culture. How? Before we discuss how, we have to define first, like, what is corporate culture? How can you define corporate culture? What is corporate culture? Like, I just cannot clearly define the definition of the corporate culture, but say simply corporate culture means like value, norms, principle, or philosophy within the firm, and that part should be shared by all members. So once you belonging to one group of, say, organization, you may be like automatically or naturally instilled with that value, philosophy, norms, and so on. So every company does have that unique culture, a unique nature of that. Every company does have their own values, belief, kind of understanding, norms, like guidelines for your activity, behavior, way of business. And that part should be shared by the members of the firms. Once those sets are, say, there, visible way, that's what I call a culture. So create, say, adaptable organization means just forget about your company's culture in the past and forget about create new, say, types of culture. So that's exactly what they means. So you don't need to wear a tie. You can come to the company by wearing, say, short pants. That's not really changing the culture, right? Just it is changing the policy of their, say, attire in the companies, right? So you should not get confused here. Changing culture not means really like changing your, say, proper, say, how to wear or how to, say, like your business or something like that, but changing this one. Belief, values, understanding, and norms. And the leaders, you will become the business leader, right? So your job is you define new value, belief, understanding, and norms in the firms, and that should be understood and shared, let them be understood and shared by your people there. So that is actually what we call a leadership, or sometimes entrepreneurship, or leadership. Simply, that's what I call a leadership. Certainly the most difficult and challenging job of the top management. So, like when you say a culture, there are two different parts of the culture. Some culture you can see, and some culture you cannot really see, but we know that it exists. Something you can see, you are able to see, is kind of a dress code, slogan, symbol, layout, like company, a unique ceremony. So that is all kind of a culture, or more specifically, we call them visible cultures. While on the other hand, there are invisible cultures. The most invisible culture is, as we describe here, HP way. So HP, Hewlett Packard, kind of a big USA companies. HP way was kind of a slogan of describing the HP company, USA. It described kind of their unique, say, corporate, say, kind of a culture. It's kind of a creating exciting, say, working environment in their very unique way, which was their, say, company-wide campaign and slogan in 90s. And that kind of a creation of new work environment filled with lots of excitement impact the firm so good. So that's why the company become very good. So the point was that the HP way benchmark, copied, learned a lot by other companies, like Samsung, for instance. Like 90s somewhere, Samsung at the time in the need of creating new culture, right? So how they motivate their employees in different new way, in different new era, but they really didn't know how. But they just found that HP way. So why not just say learn HP way into our way, right? So, and this day like Google way, for instance, kind of new types of a unique culture. So the point is, like from the researcher's point of view, a lot of say concern, like is corporate culture really matter to your firm's performance? What matter is your quality of product, right? Your say ability to satisfy customers. That really matter to your firm's say superior, above average say performance. Not really a corporate culture. That's some researchers' argument, but some others say that indeed the corporate culture really impacting the firms in positive ways. So, scholars studied, is corporate culture really exist? These are kind of a simply academic description. We never know whether this kind of the classification definitions really exist in the firms. And if there exist, what types and how many types of, say, corporate culture exist? So that was actually the organizational cultural studies actually concern. And they found that there are certain types of culture indeed. So it is not really literally say argument, but it really exists in the firm, and depending on the types of culture, company do perform quite differently. So there are 1,000 different types of culture, right? So it's actually up to you which culture may be good for your firms. Like this is kind of a like academic classification of corporate culture, but quite making sense if you look at the real cases of the real world. Like some company does have adaptive culture. So when you say adaptive culture means what? Adaptive culture means some company very quick at making the decisions. So a lot of IT firms, uh, some issue raised up, and the next day, a few days later, somebody decide how to deal with that one. Like in government officials, for instance, a government bureau or department, you may take sometimes like couple of months to determine how and what to do. But like IT or Silicon Valley types of companies, you can just quickly decide something when some issue raised. That does mean that you can decide rather than waiting the what your boss has to actually say. So adaptive culture, that would be one classification. And some other company may have some kind of achievement culture. Like typical American companies tend to have achievement cultures. I don't care what you do. I only care your achievement, your, say, result. So very kind of a result-oriented, say, culture, a lot of companies actually adopt as their corporate cultures. So, so understanding corporate culture is very important. So you can figure out yourself whether you can really survive in that firms or not. If that firms are not matching your, say, personality, just cannot really show your talent there. So in achievement culture, everything is so result-oriented, so which means that the company tends to have a very ambitious high goal all the times and just run for it. So that kind of a culture, the firms, simply like Korean firm used to have this kind of achievement culture, right? Just do it. We just do, this is our goal, and what our job is, just do this one. Or jump yourself out of the window. Right? So that may be kind of a Korean company's typical culture, which may be quite good in certain, say, time period, but may not be quite effective. And some other company would be like involvement cultures. I don't care your, say, result, like 3M or again back like Google as well. The process is more important. So your failure, I don't care. But we only look at, not only look at, but we really, really carefully see your, say, process of doing some things, right? How you are very good at like doing something with the your teammate in cooperative way with your customers and so on. So kind of very innovative, say, firms. R&D intensive companies tend to have this kind of a culture, involvement cultures, to be there in 운동회, right? Especially in elementary school. Right? So you have to run, you have to shout. And finally, consistency culture. Like no matter what happens outside, no matter what uncertainty there, we just go our way. So some firms very adopting this kind of a consistency culture. We have our own principle and value, reward systems and rationale. We have our own order. So anyway, we just cannot say that which corporate culture type is superior or inferior or so. But the point is, if necessary, if your firms are performing not good, especially because of this, a lot of uncertainty stemming from the outside, think about the changing your corporate cultures. So a lot of slide here. You can see more details into from your textbook. Mostly, I mean, I think this 3-point pinpoint here are very good example. Like restructure yourself, 구조조정, right? Or change your, say, organization, or big questions, right? So if you are asked with these questions, you may be wondering, where should I start? I have, say, 100,000 employees and say more than 30 different business units, and I don't know where to start. But as a rule of thumb, when say top leader, business leaders are asked to say change their say cooperation or adapt to a new environment, these three are some of the very typical practice done by a lot of companies, like boundary spanning. What is boundary spanning? You have to memorize this one. Like when you say boundary spanning of your firm, what does that mean? Boundary spanning here means like not really is expanding your business boundary. Boundary spanning means that more access or approach to customers. More open your eye and ear to what customers say. So that's what it here mean by the boundary spanning. In uncertain environment, understand more for the customer and what they want. And again, like inter-organizational partnership. Just think about who are you going to say collaborate, strategic alliance, form the say 전략적 제휴, right? Strategic alliance, rather than say overcome that uncertainty alone. Just think about, right? If you are stupid, rather than struggling by yourself in studying, just try to find a good mate who can study together, right? Don't laugh. That's the way how I survive in the college, right? So, and it worked, right? So try to think about who may be actually you're a very good business partner. Try not to do alone all the times, right? So partnership. Try not to think adversary way about the work. Right? And mergers and acquisitions, 인수합병 and 전략적 제휴. Quite not very famous or well-known business practice, but if you see like buying other firms, 인수합병, you just buy other firms, right, to do something, right, kind of a way to reduce your business uncertainty. So buying other firms probably may not consider kind of an ethical, say, business behavior for many business people in the past, but not really so. If you see the newspaper, you see lots of cases, stories of Korean firms actively doing the 인수합병, mergers and acquisition, forming a joint venture and so on. So externally, you can pursue this one to change your firm in adaptable way. At the same time, internally, think about how you change your, say, the internal corporate culture. So that's the way to change your firm internally. If you see the news book like 4차 산업혁명, I just forgot the title of the book, which is one of the best-selling book this day. 4차 산업혁명 뭐냐? I just forgot the author. And if you read that book, the book is all about what will be a new industry in the future and so on. But actually, the key message of that book is actually how your firm change yourself in the new era, where what we call in 4차 산업혁명, right? So creating adaptable organization is always kind of a very boiling hot issue in business study.
Also,
like artificial intelligence, new materials, energy, Probably that maybe new materials, energy, artificial intelligence. I think the four industry they point out. I think out of the four industry that's really important, especially countries, emerging countries like us, or Mexico, would be like, as we said, new material, solar energy, renewable energy, maybe new industry in the future, artificial intelligence, as you said. Yeah, that may be new industries, new market, new competitors. Say gold mine in the very near future. So the point is that in that new field, how the competitors would be actually act. What would be the business model? Business model simply means the way you actually make money, the process of you make money. But in that new field, that process would be totally different. That's what the authors say. So if you understand that new business which are not known yet, but if you learn it first, then probably opportunity will be yours. I think that book is quite interesting. So let's finish our lecture, and before we, rather than having break, we just go to the review of the midterm exam.